Foreign Affairs Minister Chrystia Freeland is set to meet with U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer tomorrow to try and cool the simmering tensions around trade. But, we know Donald Trump's most recent Twitter rant also creating rarely seen solidarity in our Canadian Parliament. Joining us from Ottawa with more is the Globe and Mail's Laura Stone. I've been eager to talk to you, Laura, about your thoughts on the exchange of words that came out over the weekend and looking ahead to Chrystia Freeland being in Washington. What do you expect to come out of that meeting tomorrow? What can she accomplish?
Well, Anne-Marie, Canada's main goal here is to stop the bleeding from this unprecedented fight with the U.S. administration. You had Donald Trump and his allies calling Justin Trudeau a backstabber, saying there's a special place in hell for him. The president attacking him on Twitter, as you mentioned. So the goal right now is to try and not make this into a full-blown trade war among allies. So we have, of course, these tariffs on steel and aluminum from the United States. Canada is set to impose its own on July 1st. So I think there's a small glimmer of hope there that the U.S. administration will stop theirs. But at this point, that's probably not likely. Of course, we also had Donald Trump threatening tariffs on Canada's auto industry, which would just be devastating for both Canada and the United States. So as Chrystia Freeland said this weekend in Quebec, Canada is not going to respond to ad hominem attacks from the U.S. administration, but Donald Trump is continuing. He said Canada is going to lose a lot of money in his remarks from South Korea today. So this is the goal right now, just to stop the bleeding and try to repair this relationship.
So, well, it's hard to repair the relationship when the person who is in control of the relationship continues to use language like this. We heard from former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney yesterday. He drafted the free trade agreement, which Donald Trump is now calling the fool trade agreement. Is the damage already done? How does Chrystia Freeland rally around all of this rhetoric, all of this bluster, which is ongoing, to get down to the business at hand, which is try to hammer out a deal that's best for both countries?
Well, I think the Canadian government is just trying to blunt out the noise from Donald Trump. And we've seen a lot of Republicans in the United States, for instance, and former ambassadors, of course, you mentioned Brian Mulroney, who are expressing their shock and dismay over what Donald Trump has done to Canada, which has traditionally, of course, been a key ally to the United States. So I think that Canada is going to continue its outreach to lawmakers in the United States who are on Canada's side, who are very shocked and disturbed by what Donald Trump is doing. And they're hoping that, this ebb and flow with Donald Trump just ceases at some point and we can get on with our NAFTA negotiations.
I know that we take a close look at it, but when you talk to people on the streets, they'll say to you, well, why is this any different than what we've heard from Donald Trump before? Except it's bad when even the harshest critics of our Prime Minister have jumped on board to support him, to rally support around. Let's let everybody hear a clip from Question Period yesterday.
Mr. Speaker, will the government work with all parties in this House to present a unified response to Trump?
A unified response. That was NDP House Leader Ruth Ellen Brusso speaking to MPs. So, when you hear this kind of language coming from the country, you know that things are in a precarious position.
Yes, we've seen a show of solidarity across all political fronts. We even had former Prime Minister Stephen Harper appearing on Fox News saying Canada is the wrong target. We've heard from Jason Kenney, who has previously, of course, attacked the Trudeau government for its carbon tax. Incoming Premier Doug Ford saying he'll stand with the Prime Minister. Andrew Scheer. And yesterday, the House of Commons agreed on that NDP motion unanimously to support the Canadian government's efforts. So I think there's a sense from all politicians that this threat against Canada is not political, that this is going to hurt everyone, including Canadian workers, and all politicians want to be on side on that. I would say the one exception, however, is the Conservative MP Maxime Bernier, who has been against this system of supply management, which Donald Trump has attacked Canada's dairy pricing system. He has reposted his chapter, which attacks that, onto his personal website, and he was not in the House of Commons for that motion yesterday. But other than him, you've seen a show of solidarity across the board from MPs.
Yeah, when you put it all into context with the handshake and the praise for Kim Jong-un and then the criticism for our Prime Minister, it's just all a head-scratcher and lots for you to work on while you're out there in Ottawa. Laura, thanks so much.
Thank you.